Clash Planet. This is episode 4. Today's date is the 18th of July 2013. My name is Ayden. With me is Paul.
Hello.
Mike.
Alright.
Jaffar.
Yo.
And Jason.
Hello.
And today, I believe, we're going to be mainly talking about everything. So why don't you kick us off, Paul? What have you been doing?
Well, other than trying to redesign the website,
Yeah,
check it out.
check it out. It's at clashplanet.com.
We've got a website?
Apparently so.
Nice.
I've mainly been having my time suckered in by two things. The Steam sale that's currently going on,
Right.
which I'm surprised at myself I haven't spent as much as I thought I would. And I've been mainly playing Civilization 5 though.
Also looking for a job as well. I'm going to stress that too.
We're not telling Meg that.
And I've been mainly playing Civ 5.
Nice.
Still Civ 5?
No, Brave New World, the new expansion pack that's come out.
Okay, what's that like?
It's
Is it brave?
It's interesting. I wouldn't say it's particularly brave, to be honest, because a lot of the things that it implements were things that were previously in Civilization 4,
Oh, that's not very brave.
and there were people who were complaining about not being in Civilization 5.
Oh, okay.
But there's been 2 expansion packs for this game so
It's
far.
even less brave.
Yeah.
But what does everybody want? We'll do that.
There are some new things in it that I'm quite impressed by. In fact, the new things are the things I'm most impressed by because they're shiny and new.
Which are?
With this, you can... Because you know what Civilization is. We've discussed it before on the podcast, yeah?
Yeah.
For those who don't, it's a turn-based strategy game where you build an empire.
Yeah.
Can I just build on from that and say, imagine if games
No, you can't.
only had a single release and just expanded forever, like space. You know, so
Space is contracting.
It isn't.
So
Just as
just
if it's a bubble theory.
get a game
not at
and
the
just
moment.
keep releasing expansion packs instead of selling new games.
You mean World of Warcraft?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are games that do that. But back to wherever the hell I was.
Yeah, okay. I was going to continue on that, but yeah, carry on. Civ 5.
They've brought back a kind of diplomacy. They've made diplomacy more of a feature of this. In the last couple of games, like the other civs have kind of acted like morons, mainly.
Yeah.
This one, it's
That really depended on the difficulty as well, though.
yeah. At a certain point during the game, they now at a certain point you establish the World Congress.
Right.
And to do that, you have to have met all the other civilizations and discover the printing press. And this is basically kind of, well, it evolves into the UN, so it's kind of the similar thing. You put forward motions that are like, we're no longer going to trade with, I don't know, say China's in the game. We're no longer going to trade with China. Nobody can trade with China.
Okay.
And everyone votes on it.
So you can implement trade embargoes?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
There's loads of stuff like that. There's trade embargoes. There's
Can you do that online?
You're playing online.
you can play online.
You can implement trade embargoes?
Yeah.
That's very cool. I like that.
Because that was in 4, the trading embargoes were.
It's almost like you're reenacting a real world.
Yeah. That's kind of the point of the game. But, there's stuff like, you can force everyone, like there's like a world religion. You can be like, everyone in the world has to be this religion.
Okay.
And if you're influential enough, if you have enough influence with city-states and other civilizations, then you can force everyone to be your religion.
So could you make every other country in the world follow Mikeism and make them make you coffee?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
As a spontaneous similarity between games, there's a printing press in Grand Theft Auto Vice City.
How do you mean? I don't understand what you where the connection is there.
What?
You've got to discover a printing press in Civilization, yeah? And
Right.
you've got to buy the printing press in Grand Theft Auto Vice City.
That is the worst link ever.
And
So they're the same game.
It's like saying, in Civilization 5, there are people, and in Vice City, there are people.
Oh my god, you're onto something.
It's a conspiracy.
Yeah, it is.
God, where was I?
Civ
I don't
5,
think you'll ever know.
printing press.
Yeah, that evolves into the.
Internet?
No, it evolves into the UN.
It should have evolved into the internet,
Yeah.
really.
Well, the internet is in the game, and that
Good.
does something else.
Can you patent
No,
loads of
whatever you're-
websites and URLs?
No, whatever you're about to say, no. because I'm trying really hard to think, and
Let me help you because I've done some research of this. I really wanted it, but I had to buy it for my sister as a birthday present, so I can afford it for myself.
I'm just there is a way through. I was trying to think of the diplomatic victory.
Yeah.
What it is basically you get a certain number of delegates for like spies you have in other cities, or embassies you have in other cities,
Okay.
or influence you have with non-player civilizations that are called city-states. And if you get a certain number of delegates, they can vote you as the world leader, and you win the game.
Nice.
That is like a new victory condition.
And also, there's the culture victory.
The culture victory is vastly changed because in the old game it was literally you had to build up another tech tree. It would be like, okay, we're going to focus on tradition
Yeah,
and honour.
social policy.
Oh, okay.
This one is relies on tourism.
Ah, that's
It's
interesting.
because that means that your civilization is influencing other people's civilization, because everyone. So the more one, say I built the Leaning Tower of Pisa,
Yeah.
that'd be worth so much tourism
Okay.
because it's a world wonder.
So your world wonders attract people.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And whenever a great artist or a great writer or a great engineer is born,
I like Noam Chomsky.
yeah, he could be in the game.
I think he was in
Yeah,
4.
yeah.
Was he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I might have to play that.
These
game.
guys do their research.
That's
Yeah.
very cool.
That you can use them to do what they would usually do, which would be like give a boost to a particular city, or you can now get them to create great works.
Right.
And if you do that, you can then house these great works in like
Museums?
museums in your cities. So it's like I've just had William Shakespeare. He's just created Twelfth Night, and I'm going to put it in the Louvre because why not? And that makes the
It's a
Louvre.
different country.
Yeah.
Well, they're all. I can build the Leaning Tower of Rome if I want. Well, that's a bit silly because that's Italian. I could build the pyramids of Rome, but
Well, the Hanging Gardens of Birmingham.
yeah, exactly.
That's very nice.
You don't follow history, but the thing is, the more like of these great, because like I think a museum has two slots for these great works, and once that's full,
Right.
then you have to put it in another city.
Right. Okay.
But putting something into a museum makes that museum more attractive to tourists, which means your tourism goes up. However, if your city's attacked and taken, not only do they get the museum, they get those great works.
Ah, I like that.
So you can be like the Nazis in World War II and steal loads of artwork.
Gold.
In the
Get some gold.
early game, when you have battles,
Do people die?
people die.
Ah.
And then later in the game, you can create you can discover archaeology, and you can make archaeologists go to the sites of these battles, and they can dig up relics, and they can go into your museums and
That's quite cool.
yeah,
I like that.
because it's like the own history you've created. If you had a load of battles on your borders, then it's really easy for you to get to them.
That's awesome, man.
So how long does a game like this take? Because obviously, like in reality, this would be hundreds of years, if not
Thousands.
6,000 year span.
Oh, okay. So
I
how
think-
long would it take me to play a game?
6,000 years.
There are
Good.
There are ways to set different lengths of game. I think the
There's
medium.
4 different settings.
I think the game I played was about 6 hours, but obviously you save it and you come back to it.
Yeah.
But
6 hours doesn't sound too bad for the entirety of human
No,
history.
but-
I'm just looking at Mike when you said it's you can save it and come back. He's like, I don't. One sitting.
rarely.
no, I keep doing that. Whenever I'm like, I'll come back to this. I never do. I was like, let's start again. But even if you don't want to start in the Stone Age and all that kind of thing,
Oh, yeah.
you can switch to a different era.
You
So
can start in the modern era if you
So
want
you've got
it.
quite a lot of control over
Yeah.
how you play it.
There's loads of maps.
Can you start in
pretty
the Can you start in the 5th era? Communism. Full communism.
that's another system.
Of the ideology.
The ideology system.
Okay.
So you can start. Well, I think they're called order,
You've got
autocracy,
autocracy and freedom.
and freedom.
Or-
And basically, like the old expansion pack, which allowed you to add buffs to your religion,
Right.
this one is like buffs to your ideology. So you can basically create communism.
I think the game
Nice.
works like this. You can choose to basically become a fascist state, a communist state, or a democratic capitalist state. And what you choose.
Sometimes they're all the same.
Yeah. But for the sake of the game,
Okay,
each civ will, in the later game, choose one of these 3 ideologies, and that will influence your relations with all the other
Yeah,
civs.
if you've picked one ideology and the civ next to you is like a different one,
Yeah.
things can get a bit
Oh,
dodgy.
Like you could be like,
I literally had a Cold War at one point. I built nukes I knew they'd built nukes.
Did winter come?
No, I lost my last game. I was 2 turns off winning the space race when somebody won with a diplomatic victory through the UN. But so I didn't get into a fight until after the end of the game, because it goes, "You've lost, but do you want to keep playing?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do," because now I've got all this military, and then we basically nuked each other to death.
Nice. So, is it £20 in this country?
The expansion is $19.99.
So probably about $30 in the US.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Worth it?
Definitely.
Yeah.
If obviously, even if you don't have Gods and Kings, the first expansion pack, it has all the Gods and Kings content in it, apart from the civilizations that were included in Gods and Kings, like I'm not sure who they were, but like the different civilizations.
The Mongols are in there.
Okay, you said the Mongols were in there. You've played Civ regular more than I have.
Yeah.
But if you're just thinking I should just wait for it to come down in price, it's worth the money you're paying for it now. No problem.
Awesome. Right, well, what else have you been up to then, other than Civ?
I've been going back onto my phone and checking out games that I'd been playing some time ago, and I've been looking at Game Dev Story.
I have no idea what this is.
Yeah, but this is probably my absolute favourite iOS game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will obviously let Bez talk about it, but I'm going to keep chipping in because I won't be able to help it.
Do you know what this is, Andrew?
Nah, never heard of it.
Did you like Theme Park?
Theme Park?
Yes.
Or Theme Hospital?
Yes.
Or Sim City or any of those kind of things?
Oh, I do know this game. I haven't played it.
It's Sim create a game company.
Yeah.
And it's really fun. It's so much fun. It's so simple, but it's so much fun. Because you start off with one bloke in a room, and the first thing you got to do is hire your staff, and you can only afford crappy staff. So you're like, do I value good music or do I value good programming?
And you kind of get limited, don't you, to what you can have. So you might be allowed like 3 members of staff, but you've got 4 main areas.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they all are, but I know it's like graphics, sound, gameplay, and something else.
Yeah. I don't know what it is myself.
But you begin at with basically only 3 members of staff, don't you? So you end up having to let one of those areas go, and then the other guys won't be that great at the areas that they are there. So you start off making some fairly lame games,
they'll come up to you and say, I'm not sure if this will work, but I'd really like to try hard and see what happens.
Right.
So you've said, okay, we're going to work on this game. It's going to be a pirate game, and it's going to be called, and you get to call the game, I don't know,
Assassin's Creed 3.
Super Pirate Gits 9, I think mine was called.
But you get to pick a theme and the game type as well. So you could do like a pirate puzzle game.
Oh, okay.
Which may or may not work. There were various combinations. Like, this combination's amazing. But the thing is, when people come and say, I'd like to try it really hard in a game, you can say yes or no. If you say yes and they do really well, then your game gets a lot further on development very quickly. If they do badly, then they get a ton of bugs in, and bugs have to be worked out right at the end, and there's a certain amount of time for you to do it. So you can release a game with a lot of bugs, which obviously affects the review score.
Definitely.
Can you eventually build up to the level where you're EA?
Yeah.
Awesome.
The thing is,
You call it EB.
Yeah.
well, you get to name your own company.
Oh, okay.
After a certain amount of time, you've released a few games. Some of them have been popular. You get the chance to make sequels to those games because you know they're popular. Then they'll be like, okay, there's a new console coming out. Do you want to buy a dev kit for it? And then you buy a dev kit for that, and the whole process starts again, where you're like, okay, you can get slightly better programmers, but this is the first game you've made for this console, so who knows if it's any good?
Right.
And then they get the year-end awards, and just your games will come up, and you'll be like, that's brilliant. It's a really simple game.
Yeah, what I really like about this game is the way it parodies the actual history of the games industry. So it'll do things like it parodies the Xbox by they bring out the dev kit for the Y box, and just little things like that where it's just fun because you actually see it in reality. So you start with a PC and then you start with the early generation stuff. So it's the equivalent to the Master System and the NES. I mean, it moves through all the different generations, and it stops around. I think it stops around the 7th gen, doesn't it? So it's pretty much
That's quite up to date, though.
Xbox and PS2 sort of level. If assuming I've got the generations right there.
Yeah, that's Gen 6.
Is it Gen 6?
We're about to start Gen 8.
Yes,
Wow.
that was it. But either way, it's a lot of fun. There's a few nice bits right at the end of the game. I don't know if you've got quite that far.
I have done, but I can't. That was when I played it a long time ago.
Yeah, there's lots of fun stuff. You can actually develop your own console towards the end as well, which is a lot of fun.
I call mine something that probably wouldn't be sold in shops.
The best box.
No, the bastard box.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see that on big billboards everywhere.
The bastard box.
Yeah.
So it's a very simple game, but you do find it's because it's on your phone. You could sit there on the bus, and you won't want to go for the bus
Yeah.
because
I don't know about that.
Yeah, you'd be surprised because you'll just sit there. I mean, suddenly you've missed your stop,
And all it is,
several others.
all it is really is a load of bars going up. Your gameplay's got better. Like you'll see them sitting at their computers, and like a little +6 will come up. And
Yeah.
your gameplay will go up 6.
You're like, yeah, stats.
Yeah.
Basically,
That
it's
is
all
it
about
is.
stats.
But it's got such charm to it. It is quite fun.
It is a good game, and apparently they're making a sequel,
Good, they should.
which I think it'll do well. I think they made a lot of money.
Another company came out with something recently, didn't they? That was similar, and they released a version onto torrent sites. Did you hear about this?
I'm sure you told me something, but unless you can tell me what it was.
Oh, well, there was pirating in.
They
game.
released it onto torrent sites,
Yes.
but the torrented version were like, oh, our games are getting pirated. So they were on their forums. It was like, my game's getting piracy. Is there any anti-piracy measures? Well, the only version piracy existed in was the pirated version.
Yeah.
So they knew these people. I mean, that's the best anti-piracy measure I can think of since
Definitely.
Batman Arkham Asylum, where there were certain jumps you just couldn't do because they disabled the glide. The glide went like 2 centimeters shorter
That's
than it
awesome.
should.
So they keep thinking, I can just about.
I'll keep trying.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, it was
I think the best glitch like to put into a pirate game would be a virus that destroys your computer. Really. There's some ideas for you.
Yeah. It's just a Trojan pirate.
Yeah.
Not a Trojan horse. Just
Trojan pirate.
loads of stuff stored in this pirate so it all spews out. He shits himself all over your computer. A virus.
And that's a song we can all dance to.
Yeah. So, well, let's move on. Mikey,
Yeah.
your turn, sir.
Alright, then, well, first I'll talk about the first thing I've been doing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
That's a good-
which makes sense. It's numerical. I've been playing Uncharted 2, Drake something.
Oh, that new game.
Drake's Fortune.
Is Drake's Fortune? Is that the
No,
Is it really? I thought that was the first
that
one.
is the first one.
I was going to say, I
Give me
haven't
a
played the
sec,
first
it's
one. And
called-
I think it's Uncharted 2.
Uncharted 2.
Drake's Electrics, we'll call it.
Yeah, we'll
I
call
don't think
it
it was
that.
Drake's. I think it was something else. But
Jeff's.
it's
Yeah.
Uncharted 2 subtitle.
Yeah.
Jeff,
Subtitle here.
Jeff's Cauldron.
Yeah.
Go.
The Cauldron of Balls.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
Good. What else have you been up
Moving
to?
on.
Moving swiftly on. Yeah. No. Well, what do you want to know?
I don't know. What is it?
It's a third-person action-adventure shooty jumpy thing.
Cool. I think, to be fair, most people who've got a PlayStation 3 will have probably heard of
Yeah.
this and played it. So, just have you been enjoying it? Do you like it?
Yeah, I've got quite far. Would you say? I know about a third in.
I'd say you're a third in.
Yeah, I'd say that. I'm quite sad that we never got a PlayStation because I'd have loved to have had these games when they come out. I think Xbox, was missing out by not having these games.
You basically played it after you saw Ayden playing The Last of Us.
Yeah.
And my constant insistence for the last, year?
Yeah.
About that.
I also played it after I played the new Tomb Raider, which the new Tomb Raider is completely, ripping this off.
Is it?
Yeah. This does the storyline and the voice acting and the script so much better.
It's not hard though. I mean,
No.
the voice acting isn't bad in Tomb Raider, but the story's pretty weak.
I'd say the difference between Uncharted and Tomb Raider is the scale. The scale of Uncharted is.
Really.
I mean, what was the last bit you got to? Was it the helicopter in the tower sequence?
No, the last bit I got to was that massive big statue thing in
The puzzle.
Nepal. Yeah.
But the
Big
sequence.
statue thing.
I'm trying
good.
to bring out some.
Yeah, there's bits when you're being chased across the rooftops by what's the helicopter now?
A Hind-D.
Russian gunship,
Nice.
Soviet era.
But
It's in Metal Gear Solid 1 for those who remember.
it does feel like a proper movie, kind of. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing with Tomb Raider. I don't think it ever got to those heights.
I think with the new one is they limited themselves by having it set on one island. Well, this is like Indiana Jones, like in a cutscene you'll see like the little dotted line showing you in flying from one country to another. Goes to different parts of the world, and that's what this is like.
Sounds good, man.
But yeah, very fun. I definitely recommend it.
Yeah. For those that haven't played, how long's it been out for?
it's been out a while. They've all
Yeah.
been out a while, but I'm
I was gonna say, because number 3's out now, isn't it?
number 3's been out at least 2 years.
Well, there you go. So
We're probably
Yeah.
talking a four-year-old
saying
game,
is-
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, Xbox fans, when the new consoles are coming out, PS4 threes will be, they'll drop in price eventually. So just pick one up one day.
They're already
Yeah.
pretty cheap anyway.
Yeah, I think you can get them for about 100 quid second hand at the
Yeah.
moment.
They'll probably go down to 50 at some point.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Those games and The Last of Us are probably worth you picking up an old console for.
Especially since you can get most of the Naughty Dog's games quite cheap now.
Yeah.
Bar The Last of Us. Which I imagine is still like 35, 40.
I know you can get 35 quid for it in Computer Exchange at the moment. That's cash.
Yeah. Not in Jelly Babies.
Not in Jelly Baby.
No, but there's cash and trading, isn't there?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Fair enough. Alright, Mike. What else?
I've been reading another book.
You've been reading a book?
I know, man.
Again?
Again, I just.
Bloody hell.
You know only nerds read, yeah?
I know. That's what you do.
What's your book called?
It's called Did God Have a Wife by William G. Dever.
Can you save us all the time so we can't, for those that can't be asked to read it, does he have a wife?
He did, yeah.
He
But
did? Is that he doesn't anymore? Are they divorced?
I'd say they're pretty much divorced.
Hey!
Yeah. Just so you know, this isn't a fictional book.
Do you think that Jesus, during his rebellious teenage years, was an atheist?
Yeah.
Damn, how dare you say yeah?
This is about the ancient Israelite religion before the Bible was compiled.
Okay, so the first...
From around
the Old Testament? Or?
Yeah, the Old Testament.
Okay.
Which is the time period is between like say 1000 BC to about 400 BC.
Okay, cool. So, what else is the book about other than did he have a
Well-
wife? Actually, did he get divorced?
Well, not technically, but he might as well have, because the Christian theologians, well, not the Christian, the Jewish theologians at the time basically edited her out of the Bible.
Right. Okay. So,
But it also goes into
So
all the
it was like-
debates.
instead of a
about it.
forced marriage, it was more like a forced divorce.
Yeah.
You're really stuck on this. I mean, it is the title of the book,
Yeah.
but I'm assuming a lot more is covered than, because otherwise it could be like, yep, but it was a while ago. I'm on page.
It goes through all the debate within biblical study and archaeology over the whole thing, all the different viewpoints. It's a really good book. It's quite academic, so it will drag on for quite a few people, but it's very interesting.
Yeah. Science and religion mixed together.
Yeah.
Sounds right up your street.
Is there any magic in there?
There's a little.
So there's magic, there's magic, science, and religion.
Yeah.
So it has one more aspect than Microsoft did.
It does. But it's magic in the fact that the ancient Israelites practiced forms of magic. Not obviously it didn't work for them, but they thought it did. The same with like astrology and holistics and all that bullshit.
Don't you live above a holistic shop?
I do.
Something we practice it.
Yeah.
I know, but
It just means
I
we
also
got. Just means we got quiet neighbours,
I also live above a fireworks shop. Doesn't mean we're like pyromaniacs.
which also means we got loud neighbours.
And next door to a Greg's as well. Which is good
Nice.
for Jaffar. That's our endorsement for the day, Greg's.
Correct on fireworks.
Well, fireworks aren't really an endorsement to one particular company, so...
But it's called the
you're
Fireworks
right.
Shop. It's on Quinton High Street.
Well, Hagley Road.
So, so is this book like for the average reader, or do you reckon just
I'd
for?
say only really read it if you know a bit about the subjects already.
Okay.
oh, so it's not like one of those. It's not one of those books that are aiming to be a bestseller, even though.
No, it's definitely not aiming to be a bestseller.
To me, the God Delusion and things like that were aiming to be like
Yeah.
controversial bestsellers. I was
Yeah,
wondering.
this wasn't as far. I think I had to buy,
Who wrote
this
that?
offline.
Richard Dawkins.
Oh, we
I
might
know.
see a bit of him later.
We might do.
Could.
So I'm sure that rang a bell.
Yeah, I had to order this book offline because it wasn't available in the shops.
Fair enough.
I actually did have one of my books about Castro.
Yeah.
Wasn't happy about that. Alright, go on then, Jeff.
Right, so, well, I ain't been around a while,
Yeah.
so welcome back to me.
In fact, this is your first Clash Planet one, isn't it?
It might be, actually. I
think it is.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Small round of applause.
Too much.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, it's way too much.
I've not been doing anything too sort of out of the ordinary, just living a basic life. But what I have done, I've watched 2 films recently.
2.
You
Well,
wild person.
Oh, that's what that is. Got you.
yeah. But basically, I think the first thing I'll talk about, while it's fresh in my head of just telling everyone I'm going to do it, is I watched Hangover 3.
Have you seen Hangover 1 and 2?
Yeah.
I haven't.
But yeah, I know it's a reasonably new film, so I may, be throwing a few spoilers out or whatever. Unless someone...
Can
Try
I,
not to.
can I ask a couple of questions to you first? Though?
Yeah, you can do what you want, man.
Did you enjoy Hangover 1?
I thought it was good. I always thought it never quite lived up to Dude, Where's My Car, though. I thought it was a similar storyline, and it just... Maybe because when I was watching Dude, Where's My Car, I was younger, so my mind was a bit more impressionable on certain
Aliens
things.
turn up in Dude, Where's My Car?
Yeah.
You've ruined it for me now.
Spoil it. I haven't seen
What, for
it.
Dude, Where's My Car?
Major
I don't want to
spoiler.
watch
I
it.
was like 12 years old.
Did you consider The Hangover Part 2 a step up or a step down for the series?
I can't really remember all that much about it, to be honest.
Enough said.
I consider it a step down,
it's a
a
massive-
major
yeah.
one.
Well, to be honest, I was a bit shocked that The Hangover is like the highest grossing R-rated comedy of all time.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
The Hangover was pretty good, but it weren't that good.
No. And it's the sort of film you only ever watch once.
Yeah,
because
Yeah.
there's
I bought it-
really no reason.
I bought it
to
Meg
bother.
on DVD. We watched it and we were like, that was okay.
Why
And
do
you
you
think,
get it off Netflix?
shall we sell it?
No, it was a birthday.
So how was Hangover Part 3?
Well, it was... I wouldn't say it's much of an improvement on the other one. Obviously, the first one was probably at the top of the scale. I wouldn't give it a big recommend. Maybe if you just want to see what happens, because it's not that much of a storyline that sort of grabs you and wants to take you any further anyway. It was mildly amusing, but there's so many more films you can get than that anyway.
That's a good description.
Yeah, but
Pacific Rim's mildly amusing. So
yeah.
does it fit in the same genre?
Something that have done with it is they've gave Mr. Chow more.
Is he the monkey?
Is that Asian guy who's in
is
Transformers 3?
Yeah, it's the Asian guy on the first one who jumps out the back of the boot for all you that don't remember. And the catchphrase of Toodaloo motherfuckers.
Yes.
Which is probably the best scene in the whole film, really. I
Probably
thought. And yeah, so he's got more of a lot more of a role in this film, and you find out a bit about him, and that he's part of the backstory was that he was sort of in cahoots with Alan over just being friendly, and the film basically starts off with
Don't spoil it too much, mate, in case people want.
yeah. Well, it basically starts off with they're going.
What's the reason for this little get together? Because
Well, basically, Alan's had a breakdown. He's just killed.
Poor Alan.
He's just killed a giraffe.
Really?
that's not a breakdown moment for you, is it, Mike? That's a celebratory moment.
In the giraffe.
Well, he's not. He doesn't actually realise he's having a breakdown. It's just that he stopped taking his medication,
Was
and
it-
everyone's worried about
Was
him.
it the death
so
of the giraffe that convinced him he was having a breakdown?
No, he doesn't. He wasn't convinced he was having a breakdown. But the family and all his friends held a
Is Alan James Gandal not Gandolfini? Because
guy with a beard, a toddler.
yeah. I can't think of his name, but it's James something or other.
Yeah.
He's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
I'll
probably the best
I'll have a story
character
about
in
him in
it.
a sec.
But yeah, so they hold a intervention for him, and decide that the Wolfhound Gang, as they call themselves, Wolfpack, that's the one, and they are going to go somewhere to help sort him out or whatever. So they start drive him along. They drive off, and then the film begins from there, really, because loads of crap goes down. And so it's similar to what happened. It's like a similar to what happened in the other films as well.
Would you say?
You first. I've asked like 2 or 3 questions.
Would you say it's better than Krull?
I've not seen that.
No, if you're not going to ask silly questions, then sod off.
Would you say that it's more of the same?
I think there's a few things they've done different. The characters are the same. There's no real change in them, which I suppose is a good thing. But a lot of the stuff that happened before, like the guy who was getting married in the original Hangover film. I can't remember what his name was.
I don't remember a lot of the names.
Doug. Yeah.
Okay.
He basically gets left out of the plot again, which I thought was obviously similar to the fact that he was the one on the roof in the first one.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Well, the first one, come on.
Yeah, the first one's
There might
a
be someone who hasn't seen it.
Yeah, the first one's for you. I've just said it's the most.
If it,
Highest
wasn't,
grossing
alright,
that-
if it wasn't out in the last 12 months, I think you're free to do spoilers.
Yeah. But yeah, so he gets left out of it again. And so basically it's Alan, the dentist, and...
Mr. Chow.
No, well, Mr. Chow is part of it, but obviously not the wolf pack that's going out there.
Right.
And the fancy looking one, the
As this is-
teacher.
The fancy looking
As this
one.
is the third film that constitutes like a trilogy, would you say they wrapped it up? Is it like they're not going to do another? They're not going to do Hangover 4 with
Depends how
really.
much money they made.
Well, to be honest-
Hangover 4, we've killed most of our brain cells now.
To be honest with the other films, it wasn't sort of insinuating that there's going to be a sequel or a trequel.
A treacle.
Oh, yeah. I love my treacle.
A new term, you've heard it here.
So, yeah. I don't know. You can't guess. But if I want to,
Can I just?
from what they've done with this one, I can imagine they will make a 4 just to get a bit more money out of it. So
There'll be another one.
yeah.
I'm putting one of my J predictions
Yeah,
here. There'll be another
Right,
one.
your final question, Paul.
Oh, the first thing isn't. The last thing isn't a question. It was more of a kind of little story about the guy with the beard.
Alright, I've got a final question for this one then. Are there any hangovers? Does anyone have a hangover in this film?
Yeah, do they get so drunk they can't remember anything?
No, that's a good point actually. So it's got nothing to do with the title. I didn't even
it's
think
rubbish.
of that concept.
Paul.
Right, I used to hate this guy until a couple of weeks ago. Mainly because of his role in The Hangover, where he acted like a complete idiot.
Did he write you an apology letter?
No, I found out that when he was like a struggling comedian, he used to go to this dry cleaners.
Okay.
And this old lady used to hang around outside, and they used to talk, and they were friends.
Is he into old ladies?
Apparently so, but I found out they lost contact, and years later he found out she was living on the street, and he was like, no, he bought her a house, and he's paying for all the medical bills because she's really ill and stuff. And I thought that was really cool. I
Yeah.
just thought without I thought it was just a cool thing.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
worth mentioning.
Considering I hated that guy like ridiculously just because he was so annoying.
Why did you hate him?
Because that character was just so annoying.
Yeah.
And he did it. He's done it in a couple of other films where it's like that's the same character you play in The Hangover.
So it's like Jim Carrey?
There was a film. Yeah. There was but I didn't mind Jim Carrey so much. There was a film with Robert Downey Jr.
Iron Man.
No. Robert
Oh
Downey.
yes, I know.
Iron Man 2.
Yes, no.
Iron Man 3. The question, please.
I know which one you mean. I can't even think what it's called
It's not
either.
called Due Date, is it? Is it Due Date?
It might be due date or
There's a
something.
film.
similar.
yeah, he's in due date.
Yeah, it's Due Date with, and it just annoyed me then. It wasn't. I didn't
Yeah.
find this. I didn't
I
find
know
this
what you
spiel
mean.
funny.
Was that about Semitic romance?
No.
That was no. He's basically pregnancy and had to rush to the hospital.
it's
with
what-
her.
Due date. I thought you said due date.
No, I like that film. I like him in that as well.
No,
But
it just didn't.
He's a similar
I've
character.
got one last
he
question.
does
for
play
you.
the same
Yeah.
guy.
How would you say it compares to Willow?
Shut
Oh
up.
my god, right.
Quiet.
Jeff, what's your next thing?
So next film I did think actually really enjoy, which was called Looper. I'm not sure. I think it's a
Looper or Looper?
Looper, if you like. Yeah. So I'm not sure how old it is. I think maybe over a year
Last
now.
year, before.
Yeah, last year.
But I remember I was in the cinema at some point and I saw a trailer for it. I thought, oh, that looks really good actually. And I did intend to watch it, but never got round to it until recently. And I did watch it, and I thought it's actually really, really good because there's a lot of things you don't see in the trailer, which is quite rare nowadays because it tries to show everything in the trailer. And there was loads of things I thought, oh yeah, that's a pretty good idea. And I thought with a lot of films I've seen recently, with like the Hunger Games and things like that, they've took a really good concept and have not delivered as well as I thought they could have in the book. I mean, not in the film. And with that, I thought I couldn't think of anything that could have improved on really.
So why don't you tell people the premise of Looper?
Well, yeah.
Without giving spoilers, because
Without
this
giving
actually
too many
sounds really
spoilers.
good. You've sold it to me already.
So yeah, basically,
Don't watch it. It's
there's
horrible.
this group of people called loopers that that are assassins, and they have people sent back in time and they kill them, and that's because in the future it's so hard to get rid of a body or anything because of whatever technological advances they have or whatever. So they, as I said, send them back in time and kill them. All they do, they'll strap silver to the back, and then the looper who kills them will take that as payment for it. And so it's based around this one guy who's not sure of his name, but he's in the Batman films and he dressed up as Batman. So we're going to refer to him as not Batman.
Robin.
Yeah, no, but
Or not.
Adam
Robin.
West.
I know who you mean. He was in 30 Rock as well, weren't he? As a
Yeah.
kid.
yeah. So he's the main character at the start of it, and you're basically following him. It gives you a bit of background story to him and whatever, and yeah. But also, I should mention that it's even more illegal to kill someone, to send someone back in time, or have a time machine in the future than it is to kill someone. So it's like a really cahoots business with these massive gangs that do it.
I think you can say a little bit more about the premise.
Yeah. Okay. So yes. So basically, he takes them to fields, and he finds out one day. Well, what happens with these loopers is, after so much of this happening, their loop gets closed, And to do this, they will have to kill themselves as their cells are sent back through time, because the criminal organisations want not to be tracked back to these people, so they track them down after their loop has been closed in the past, in the future, send them back and get them killed in the past, and that's when their loop is closed
How
in
do
the
they
present.
deal with time travel paradoxes in this?
No time travel film
Yeah.
ever deals with time travel paradoxes.
There is a few in it towards the end that you pick up on, like fingers disappearing and things like that, but that's only because stuff is actually going on at the time.
Does anyone go back in time and kill their own grandfather?
No. It's basically
Is Sarah Connor in this movie?
No, actually, but there is a woman. It did see there was a lot of Terminator in it. I did notice in a few things.
Is there also a bit of Time Bandits?
No time bandits, no midgets.
I take it you recommend people watch this film.
Yeah, really do. It's a really good film.
I kind of want to hear why Jay thinks it's not a good film now,
Yes,
without giving spoilers.
I actually wanted to watch this film because I really liked this concept. I loved the idea that this guy, stands in the field with his shotgun, waits for someone to appear, and then kills them off. And then as soon as someone told me all about this and how he self appears,
Yeah.
and he's got to kill himself, and that's when you get your payment, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's like
You
when
get your 30 gold and your loop's closed.
yeah, and you retire, and knowing that you'll one day in the future be that guy who gets sent back and shot by yourself.
Yeah.
And I loved the idea of that. And then they just screw up the paradoxes all over the place.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to ruin the story because I don't want people to sort of like go, oh no, I know what happens now.
Yeah.
But I don't think they handle the end of the story particularly well.
Okay.
So you kind of get to the end and you think, well, actually, that was really, really shit the way they did that. So the concept's good. I just don't think they handle the last. If you stop watching 10 minutes before the end, you'll probably go, actually, this was all right. I didn't like the ending. I didn't think it was handled well.
So we've got one for and one against.
Who plays the older version of
Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis,
Yeah. So his best time travel movie is either this or 12 Monkeys. You might have seen 12 Monkeys.
Yeah, but even so, it's irrelevant because it's a separate film.
Yeah, but I just wondered which one he preferred.
Oh, right.
Because I really like 12 Monkeys, but he won't have seen 12 Monkeys. So.
Who else has seen Looper?
Just
I keep meaning to. Every time I think about it, I was like...
I'll be honest, like you said about the concept, I didn't think there was too much to consider. I did notice some stupid things, like you notice in the future, while it's filming and it's like the film is focusing on the future for us. You see someone get killed in it while in the future, and you think, because it said at the start, it's so hard to hide bodies or anything in the future. How come this person's died? So I thought that
Very good point.
was one. Do you remember who got killed in the future?
I can't remember exactly who got killed, but I hadn't put that two and two together on that one, so that's a really good point.
Yeah, I think that was one thing that annoyed me about it. But I did. Maybe I've not seen as good a films as you or something.
So
I know you haven't.
Really good
So
idea.
we've got one saying it's good and one saying it's not great.
I'll tell you what,
So
I'll watch it for next week.
Fair enough. But at the moment we can say together it's an average film with some holes in it.
Yeah, I think
More loops.
Would you say it's better than Time Cop?
Not seen that.
Right, should we...
no harm in watching it is what I'd say. Just don't expect everything from it, and don't expect it to be the perfect time travel film. It's not.
No such thing
Well,
as
I didn't look at it as a
Yes,
time
there
travel.
is Back to the Future.
Back
to the Future.
I didn't look at it as a sort of time travel film. I wasn't even looking at it as the sci-fi aspect of it. I was more looking an action sort of thing, if you like, and I think it did provide that because it has.
This suffered from In Time coming out around the same time period.
Again, no
And to be
idea.
fair,
but-
if you're going to make a sci-fi film and people are most picking up on the action aspects, you're failing as a sci-fi film.
I suppose, yeah.
But you're achieving it an action film.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like as much action as was in The Matrix. I think that was much better as a sci-fi film as an action film.
But I think they complemented each other very well.
Yeah.
Right, should we move on? Jason,
Shall I talk some more?
go for it.
Fantastic.
What you got for us?
What have I been up to? Oh, I'm going to call this Jay's Special Tower Defence show because that's what I've been doing most of my
defending
gaming.
towers?
I've been defending. Actually, been defending with towers because that's how tower defence works. So for those of you who aren't aware of the concept,
I know
possibly,
tower defence.
You know tower defence, okay,
I play
Jack?
tower defence.
Okay.
So basically, there's loads of little things coming through, sometimes on a set path, and you've basically got to put loads of little turrets around to stop them from coming through.
that's pretty much it, really. I think
Nice.
the way tower defence games work, though, is I think there's loads of them out there because it's a pretty easy thing to put together. So there's actually huge numbers, especially on app stores and such for mobiles and tablets. And I think it's quite hard to get this right and get the balance. So it's actually a good tower defence game, and you don't get an overpowered tower.
What game are on?
Yeah, we haven't mentioned the game yet.
I know, because I'm just pointing out how difficult it is at the moment to do this. So I've been playing 2 different tower defence games. First one is a game called Kingdom Rush.
Yes.
It's definitely out on iPhone and iPad. I've got a feeling it's out on other systems as well.
I'm not sure. I've only seen video of it.
You've seen videos of it at least.
And I was like, this is pretty good
Yeah.
for a tower defence game.
It's a really cartoony tower defence game. You kind of really need to play it on a tablet, I've noticed, because you need quite a big screen.
Right.
All of the enemies which are sort of piling their way through are quite small, so on the tablet it's a lot easier to see what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's all set in medieval times, as
Yeah,
Kingdom
yes.
Rush possibly gives the indication.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a Lord of the Rings slant to it, so you've got goblins and you've got bandits and that sort of thing. And they're all working their way through, and you just have to pick your towers. There's only 4 major types of tower that you use, so you can be quite tactical about how you use them, but they all work really differently. So you've got your standard sends out troops to stop the other troops. You've got your standard sort of like arrows, archery tower. That's what I'm going for. Archers. You've then got magic, and then you've got like an artillery tower as well.
Artillery?
Yes.
A cannon?
Exactly like a cannon. In fact, a cannon.
I just got the image of World War One artillery in the Middle Ages then.
It's mostly a cannon, but because it's cartoony, they sort of get a bit more extreme. So the cannon is operated by dwarves, of course.
Yeah. Dwarves love their cannons.
They do love their cannons. Very stereotypical, but it works somehow. But I just really like this game. I think it's loads of fun to play. It's really comical, so there's lots of talking from the different characters in it. You get to have like a hero in there as well, which you can sort of send around to just help out at the towers which kind of need the help. And there's this guy with basically with a little hammer, and he does lots of Mr. T impressions.
Nice.
So you hear all sorts of things like Pity the Fool and all that sort of stuff, and that's loads of fun as well. So it's kind of tongue-in-cheek.
The one thing I kind of noticed about this game was it has a kind of economy system, doesn't it? You're buying things.
Yeah, you when you
Is there also a microtransaction element to this?
A little bit. You don't need it to get through. I know this much because I've managed to complete the game without spending a penny on it. You can buy extra characters, and you can buy extra characters which are a lot harder. So you can kind of have legend characters, and they cost £2 or £3.
Yeah.
How much does the game cost?
The game's only £2, and it's the sort of thing, if you keep an eye out, you'll get it cheap anyway. It's well worth £2. And in fairness, I think if you wanted to buy yourself a character as well, it wouldn't hurt to spend a couple more quid and buy yourself the character you fancy using. But yeah, there's a bit of microtransactions. But one of the main bits is you earn stars. It's another Angry Birds style thing.
Yes.
But with the benefit that when you win a level and you get 3 stars, you get to spend those stars on advancing one of your tower types. So you can make it so your troops, your armoury, or what's the word?
Artillery?
Not artillery.
Archery?
Not archery either. Your barracks.
Yeah.
Barracks, that's the word I wanted. You could spend money and make sure your barracks have got harder troops in them, or you might want to make your artillery stronger. So it's quite a lot of fun to be selective over what you like using.
I'll say though, in terms of tower defence games, I've played a few on the internet and stuff. The best way I've ever seen that was back in my Command & Conquer General Zero Hour games. They used to set up because there was this whole sort of program called, I think it was Gentle or something like that, where you could make maps and do
creators.
Pretty much anything. Which is really good for the time, because I think this game was like 2003, 2000.
Well, that's where tower defence came from. That kind of people made it themselves. The same as the whole MOBA thing. That's where.
But yeah, people used to make these maps with just lines going across all ziggy zaggy and stuff like that, and you start your base. And obviously, the concept is you'd fight against each other. But what they'd do, they'd make the forces coming through a computer enemy or an AI enemy, and the map would just program them to send shit tons of troops through, and as it goes on, it'd get more powerful and powerful, and what you'd have to do, you'd all be on a team, and you'd obviously collect your resources like you'd have to do in all of the Command & Conquer games before Command & Conquer 4 came out. Well, I won't go into that. And, so yeah, they started building base defences along the edges and stuff, and you got little planes and stuff all flying around. You're all working together trying to destroy it, and that was really fun to do. Those things like that. So that's something I really enjoy to do.
Yeah. Well, it's basically the same idea. It's just that they've made games out of it.
It was the beginning of it, and now because it's quite an easy concept to do, but it's quite difficult to perfect. I don't think that Kingdom Rush perfects it.
I mean, nowadays, as much as I don't want to derail you from your next one because it might have something to do with this, like nowadays there are games that are like you have hero characters in this.
Yes.
You say if you play Super Monday Night Combat on Steam, it's the same kind of thing, but you play as a character trying to stop these waves coming through.
Sounds like Dota.
While there are, it's a third-person kind of shooter game.
I was thinking it sounded more like Smash TV.
A little bit, but it's a tower defense game where the tower is already there, and you basically play as the hero.
Yeah, so that's the thing, is that this is a genre which has developed itself.
Yeah, there are lots of different
and that,
different styles of it.
That's really.
But
good,
I really liked the whole cartoony aspect of.
It's actually already got a sequel as well. I'll say already. Yeah. Kingdom Rush probably came out about a year or so ago. It's got a sequel now, which is Kingdom Rush 2. No, actually. 3? That'd be too easy. I think it's Kingdom Rush Frontiers. And it's the same sort of idea, although some of the troops now, you have things like assassins and stuff, which are pretty cool.
I just thought they should have called it Kingdom Rush 1.
Yes. Yes. It's got nothing to do with Microsoft.
Kingdom Rusher is one.
I was just thinking though, it's
Kingdom Rush.
These sort of Android and iPhone games have been around for like years longer than the phones and things. But what they always were before was just like flash player games.
Yeah.
Because I remember it's like at school on the computers in my IT lesson or whatever, I'd just be on
and things like that.
Yeah.
I used to do the exact same
all
thing.
the flash player games. Like I used to play a tower defense game called ZR Defender. I remember it'd absolutely freeze the crap out of the computer. Because the level gets so high eventually, you'd have these indestructible, like they're only little shapes that came through, but like you used to have ice blasters that would slow them down. You used to have that many on the screen, the computer couldn't function, and it was terrible because
They've been around for about 10-15 years.
Yeah, and if the teacher was coming past at this point, it'd be terrible. You can't close anything, you can't do anything, you're stuck with the game. You know what? But yeah, so a lot of fun with them over the years. Yeah.
At least it's not porn.
Well, yeah, we kind of derailed your conversation.
Oh, completely. But don't worry, because I've got more to talk about.
How would you say it compares to Hawk the Slayer?
Would you stop talking about like dodgy movies?
Yeah, you just keep like making weird comparisons.
I do, don't I?
You're the comparison man.
I'd say it doesn't compare at all.
That's alright then.
There we go. So the other thing I've been up to...
Hawk the Slayer.
I know, this is all getting a bit worrying, isn't it? I think he's running out.
I thought Willow was like the lowest you were going to sing.
No, I've got worse coming.
I've heard of Willow, what is
Labyrinth.
No,
Yes,
I know
let's
which
get that out of the way.
I know which one.
As you were saying,
What, the rapper?
What else have I been doing?
Yeah, have you been playing other tower defense
I
games?
have been playing other tower defense games. Yes.
Really?
Yes. Hence this being like Tower Defense Corner and all that.
Elaborate.
Well, I've been having a go at Plants vs Zombies 2, which I don't know if everybody knows.
Plants vs Zombies.
Yes, Plants vs Zombies, fantastic.
What's
game.
that about?
Do you not know? It's about plants and zombies. It's basically, again, your tower defense game. For those of you who don't know, you use plants to defend your house against the zombie horde.
Well, I must say that Paul will be fine in the Enchanted Zombie Apocalypse.
Fair to say, by the way.
This garden has more plants than anything.
Yes, he'll be completely okay.
Amazon forest.
So, Plants vs Zombies, probably everyone must know by this point, but it's been really successful. It's made PopCap loads of cash.
It's also the reason, combined with Peggle, that EA bought PopCap.
Yeah, well, you can't argue with that really, because it was a massive success. It was a genius game.
It's a wise move.
So, Plants vs Zombies 2, it's actually been given a what they call a soft release. Which isn't as pervy as it sounds. But basically they've gone for, because this is a free-to-play game with microtransactions, they wanted to try it out as just like a small release first. So they went with the smallest area they could possibly release it in with not many people around, so they went for Australia and New Zealand.
Oh, yes.
So that's
Nice.
where it's come out at the moment.
I actually respect that because, like, you hear about Australia getting like games
2
like
years after everyone
years
else.
later. Or
Well, I'm amazed it was released at all because it's got zombies in it. Which might have been a bit too much for the Australian public. So I really hope there's no
well,
Australians listening.
I'll talk about something to do with that come the news.
Yes. So, Plants vs Zombies 2. I managed to get myself a look at that as well. It's actually really cool. It brings in. You've got the standard plants that you probably used in the first games. You know, you've got your pea shooters. They've brought in other plants.
It's gonna be like, roses, tulips.
Yeah, all sorts of wacky stuff. I'm trying to think. They've got something called the bloomerang, which I quite like.
I like that.
Yeah, I haven't got that far into it yet, but you know, I've had a bit of a dabble with it, and the bloomerang is one of my favourites. Sorry?
Has he got rhododendrons?
Not yet, but you never know.
Does this feature the return of the Jacko zombie they had to remove after Michael Jackson found tried to sue them?
I've not seen that. I suspect not. They have got a theme to it now, though, because it'd probably be pretty boring if it was just again outside of your house and that was all it was. So you actually end up travelling through time. Now, this is my favourite wacky story because the character that helps you through Plants vs Zombies 1 is someone called Crazy Dave, who talks a bit mad, and you just hear and that's how he talks. Now, he has a taco at the beginning of Plants vs Zombies 2, and he loves this taco so much he feels he needs to eat it again. So he plans to travel through time to find the taco again to be able to eat it again. Ruins all concepts of paradoxes completely.
Alright.
If he eats the taco before the original him ate the taco, then the original him won't eat the taco, and he won't like the taco enough to go back.
Exactly. So, but a bit of fun because you end up in the first. I think there's 3 areas of time that you go into, and you have Egyptian. So you can have Egyptian zombies, which of course are a bit mummified and all that sort of thing.
Awesome.
And then you.
Do they have like lotus plants and things like that as their plants?
I've not seen lotuses either, but
There's
I'm
Mubarak
not
there.
very far into it. What was what? Sorry.
Mubarak.
I think it's meant to be ancient Egypt.
Oh, ancient
Yes.
Egypt. Okay.
Yeah, more ancient Egypt. Although having said that, you know, there's mummies there, so it couldn't be that ancient.
Ah,
In
true.
what sense?
Well, because the mummies have to actually
Don't
be there for a while.
Yeah, but I mean, they've been there for a while.
Yeah, but you know, it can't be
Few
that
days.
ancient.
Oh, actually, they look like they're rotten.
But
ones.
yeah.
Ah, I see what you're saying now.
So yeah. But anyway, I'm not that far into it. What I will say is it's a much more fun game to play. You get to be a bit more selective about what levels you do, so you actually get like a level path instead of just being thrown like I'm on to level 2,
Like
on to level
Mario
3.
3 style. Because you're on map.
Very much
What
like
are the other time periods? I want to know.
well, I'm told there's a Wild West
Ah.
one, and I can't remember what the third one is.
One's got to be the future.
No, there isn't one. But my suspicion is, because this is microtransactions, that they will add more levels in.
But here's
This
a
is
question,
perfect for
and,
them.
and I think it's a really serious question.
That seems unlikely. And if you say, how does this compare
If you're going to
to...
go back in time to eat a taco,
Yes.
why would you go back to ancient Egypt where they haven't even got tacos?
Because you...
Did something go wrong?
You basically go too
Didn't you
far.
hear his name?
He's crazy, Dave.
I didn't know he was crazy and stupid.
You need to play the first one, you'll understand.
Ah, fair enough.
So what I'd say at the moment is look forward to it when it comes out. If you want to try and get hold of it early,
Have you looked into the store? Sorry, I didn't mean to butt in, but have you looked into the store for the game? You say it's built on microtransactions. What are they like?
I've had a little bit of a look at
How
it.
egregious are they?
Well, I mean, I'm not great with the exchange rate. Yes, egregious.
I can use words.
Yeah, well done. The English
the dream
degree was
for you.
worth it. 'Cause we all paid for that. Oh, indeed. It looks okay. I'm not well up on the exchange
Oh,
rate.
of course, because yeah, it's Australian.
Uh,
So it probably says like $500 into quid.
I think we're talking
Yeah.
potentially £1 or £2 for some of the plants. Most of the plants you'll get as a course of going through the game, but there are a few extras.
I
Yes,
have a
Ayden,
question.
you may ask a question. But I
Yeah.
love the fact your hand was up. We should do that more often.
No, I'm not looking inquisitive because you go.
Yes.
Yeah, my question is, if it's only out in Australia and New Zealand and we're in Great Britain or United Kingdom or England or Birmingham, then how the hell did you get hold of it?
With high cunning.
Nefarious means.
Yeah, but by the use of the internet and searching on Google to help me.
You changed your Your area code.
I won't be revealing any major secrets because you can find this fairly easy on YouTube.
That's true.
No, Mike, you're not asking a question yet, but you can work out a way to do it.
It's the same way that people play American Netflix and things, I imagine.
Yeah.
It's you change what store you're using on your iTunes.
Oh, like I did to get SimCity for cheap.
Pretty much.
I now run off India's Origin store.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you just tweak what store you want to use. Basically, you'd have a whole lot more trouble if this was a game you had to pay for, because you'd have to put in account details and it'd probably work out pretty quickly that you weren't actually living in that country. But because it doesn't ask for any money, Ben Struth, it's not a problem. So yeah, I'd recommend having a go at it. It won't be long until it's out in the UK, I've no doubt, or anywhere else you happen to be listening from. But I'd say have a go. It seems pretty cool. Microtransactions don't seem too bad. The game's worth spending probably a tenner on anyway. So
Plants vs Zombies was good.
So you might as well buy yourself a couple of the plants. I noticed for those of you Plants vs Zombies,
you have to buy plants.
Some of the plants, not all of them. So you get a range.
That on Mantle.
You can play the game very easily without, as I've managed, because I haven't got any Australian dollars to play with. But what I did notice is those of you who liked Plants vs Zombies the first time round is the ice pea shooter, which is a very, very useful plant, is one of the ones you have to pay for now.
No.
So I was a bit dubious about that.
I don't like the fact they've removed stuff that was in the... If they were going to bring out new plants, like kill everything on screen or anything like that.
The nuclear one.
Nuclear plant would be awesome.
Nuclear power plant?
Copyright it
That's
quickly.
actually quite clever, yeah.
Sell it to them.
I haven't been that far into the game. I've only had it a couple of days.
Okay.
I felt that it was worth mentioning because anyone who wants to get hold of it, this is your news item of you can get hold of it. You've just got to be a bit smart about how you do it.
My one question is, how do you think it compares to Dark Crystal?
Oh, I thought you were
Again,
going to go worse than Dark Crystal. I'll still slap you for it. But
You're lucky I like you.
Right.
I'll shut up now, I reckon.
Yeah, that's alright. Cool. Well, we'll move on to what have I been doing?
what have you been doing?
Not much.
Mr. Wolf.
Too hot.
It's too hot.
Yeah.
It's like 3 degrees. Sorry, I mean 33 degrees. Celsius, not Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have been reading a book.
Whoa!
Hello. I think
Is it Game of Thrones?
It is not
Wow.
similar though, as in it's called The Magic of Reality by Richard Dawkins.
How do you think it compares with
Game of Thrones.
I was so going to wait till the end.
I know.
It's Richard Dawkins is a wizard. He's
Did he score?
Harry's stepfather actually.
I'm a wizard and this is fucked up.
He's there and just going to be, you're not a wizard, that's science, and we just haven't explained it properly yet. That's all it is, and it's that forever. But no, really, Richard, it's about science, it's about evolution and space and atoms. Atoms is the one I've just been reading at the moment, and the difference between weight and mass and how they come together and how gravity works. And every chapter starts off slagging off religion pretty much.
Yeah.
He does it very, very gently. And
he comes up with a myth, doesn't he?
Yeah, he says like, so to explain this, back in the day, we may have had a religion which said this, and this religion said this, this, and this, and that's because they didn't really understand it properly. Now we've got the evidence and we've done the research. We now know it's this.
To me, that seems.
No, he does it well because he gives people like he put up myths that even I have never heard of.
Like Aboriginal ones, Native American ones. It does touch on Judaism and on Christianity a few times, but no more than he does everything else.
Yeah.
He's not choosing a particular
Not aggressive like he is in the God Delusion.
I was going to say, because in the God Delusion it was a bit like...
In this, he's very tame, and the reason he's very tame is because his audience, probably 14 to 16 year olds I'd imagine, a lot of the stuff that he's saying I already know. I mean, he's told me some stuff that I didn't know, he's explained stuff that Mike's tried to explain to me several times, and I just don't get this. And even Brian Cox has tried to explain to me, and I'm like, I don't get this. But he just says one simple thing, and it's like the one he's just done was he told this story, a true story about a general who decided he was going to walk through a wall. It was like, I think it was 1986 or something like that. He's like, you know what, I'm going to walk through this wall. He stands
see, I was waiting for you to be like, in 1032, this guy thought he could walk through walls.
I imagine it was in America, but still, he was a general. And he got up and he thought to himself, there's no reason I can't walk through this wall. Started walking towards it, and then he broke into a sprint and thinking, you know what, they're atoms, and atoms are mainly made up of space, and I'm atoms, and I'm mainly made up of space. And what happens? He bumps straight smack into this and breaks his face.
I should hope so.
And then he explains it. And the reason that is because even though atoms have got loads of space around them, there's actually so much force within them that it stops any other atoms from going into them. That's solid atoms. And he goes on to explain liquid atoms and gas atoms and all that.
Electromagnetic force. Repulsion. It's the same thing with magnet polarizer. If you put two magnets of the same polarity together, they repel.
Yeah.
That's what's happening when you touch anything solid.
But
like that.
He uses stories like that. He uses stories like that and says this is why he couldn't do that. But he also uses stuff like in Junior Evolution. He's like, I think he starts off with the mythology of evolution. He does use Adam and Eve, and he's like, yeah. So back before we knew what evolution was and how that all worked, we had some books say like the Bible, and they believed at that time that the creator of Earth made Adam. Adam was lonely, so he made animals, and then he decided he was still lonely and he needed a companion, so he made woman. And by doing that, he put Adam under general anaesthetic, took out his rib, and then resurrected Eve somehow out of a rib instead of just making her out of dirt like Adam was. And but he's like, but now we know that this is the reason we've got evolutionary trees, and he not only does it with evolution of species, he does it with evolution of language, which I found really interesting. As a sociologist, that was really interesting to me.
How many topics does he cover in this book?
I'm not sure at the moment. He's gone through, I think it's different topics per chapter.
Yeah, each chapter.
So there must be about 10.
Yeah.
Maybe even more.
Like, it goes through.
How long is this book? Sorry.
It's not that long.
It'll take you about 6-7 hours to read
so
it.
It's an overview. It doesn't really.
Yeah.
It's not a long.
Like I said, it's aimed for teenagers or people who don't have a vast knowledge of science.
Okay.
And it's broken down really well. But even with his language one was really interesting because he said then he was using the Israelis. Oh yeah, it was. But what he was saying is that religion, what you have, not religion. Language. It starts in one place, and as those groups split off, their language develop into something else. So, and use the example of now, we have a lot of teenagers, and we're probably we probably do this ourselves. Yeah, and we say, and I was like, I didn't like that, and we say, I was like, whereas the two generations before, they don't use that. But they would still know what that means. It still means I said instead of I was like.
I was like this and she was like that.
And so it uses that. But if that language, our generation moved off somewhere else and developed different separately to these, we'd have separate languages, and that's why we have French and Germans and Spanish, because we've all separated it. But what I find interesting, which he didn't touch on, is because now we're a globalised world. Eventually, surely we should evolve to all have the same language.
It's possible.
Eventually,
it's highly probable.
Yeah, I imagine it would do.
Feasible.
It's more than feasible.
I imagine. I'd say it's probable.
That was the sociologist coming out to me. It's not really got much to do with science.
So what you're saying is this compares favourably to Howard the Duck, yeah?
Yeah.
I really am.
And Spot the Dog.
If you haven't heard of Richard Dawkins, he is quite anti-religious, isn't he?
He's an author of a book called The God Delusion.
Yeah, it's a good book, that is.
But he does it purely from a scientific point of view, but he does slag them off quite a lot. So if you are religious, you probably won't like this. But if you're an atheist, then there's no reason you can't be. Even if you are religious, pick it up anyway, because it explains science. If you can ignore the fact that occasionally he refers to your religion as a myth, and
which it is anyway.
Yeah, well that's our beliefs. But I'd pick it up.
Or if you have read The God Delusion and you're actually agnostic, as Richard Dawkins calls himself,
He didn't.
He did.
He never. He took the piss out of agnostics quite a lot in that book.
Yeah, but he on a scale,
He
he calls himself an agnostic because he says he can't prove for sure that there's no God.
On this scale, like, true agnosticism was in the middle, and he said it was like one down from true
but he
atheism.
still counted himself as an agnostic rather than atheist.
Well, he described himself as an atheist everywhere.
Is this like mine and yours AI argument, which is too pedantic for it to matter?
It seems.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
I feel like it doesn't matter.
This is probably a bit more pedantic than our argument. Right?
So I recommend if you want to know a bit more about science and you don't know really anything, like when I left school, I left with no science qualifications whatsoever. This would have been good for me then. So if you want to know more about it, pick this book up. You can get it in audio format, and apparently the BBC did do a programme of it with him.
And there's an app for it.
Is there really?
There's an app for it.
I'm all over that then.
So yeah,
You should find it and review the app.
I will.
So that book is called The Magic of Reality by Richard Dawkins, and it has nothing to do with magic.
One last thing though, in case Stu doesn't actually listen to this podcast,
Right.
don't bother getting it to Annabelle, she'll crush it.
Oh yeah. Annabelle, Stu's daughter, would destroy this.
Yeah.
But, to be fair, it didn't really do. It hasn't done much for me, but it has given me a few things, like the atoms, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I think we should move on to the news.
Bum, ba-da-dum. Da-da-dum, da-dum. That is going to be a copyrighted tune, so...
I thought you said Jews then instead of news.
You're obsessed with Jews today.
So you were quite excited if we were moving on to the Jews.
We're going to talk about Jews for a bit.
Shalom to our Jewish followers.
So I will pass the news over to Paul because he knows more about news
He's
than I
our
do. There's your notes. I'm afraid the writing is awful, but
It's fine.
if you get stuck, just let me know.
As I've told you before, you need the Rosetta Stone to be able to understand my writing.
I like your
So,
little, I like that little reference.
The first piece of news that's been come out is that the US government has officially, almost,
Not officially, effectively.
they've effectively taken. Well, they've taken the first step in recognising pro gamers as athletes by being able to issue visas to pro League of Legends players.
Right, but how is that athletic?
Yeah, it's
play?
not.
Is it purely pad based?
It's
League of Legends.
It's a PC game,
it's a
isn't
PC
it?
game.
So how is that athletic?
It's not athletic at all.
But
It's put it in the same as like wrestlers who are just,
Well, that's more athletic.
athletic.
They
I know
can't,
it's more athletic than
That's
gaming.
athletic. That's not competitive.
they can't poker as a sport.
Yeah, poker's a sport.
Yeah,
They're athletes. Anyone that competes in a sport is technically an athlete because it comes from Athens. So
I think we need a new definition.
yeah, but that's where the word athlete comes from. So
I could appreciate it being a sport because that's
they're going to start classifying it as a sport.
Ignoring what words are used, they've given someone a visa because they are a professional sporting individual.
right. I would allow that, but athletic, they're not athletic.
Well, that's just it's just
That's
semantics.
just semantics. Thank you.
No problem.
it's
See, I know
really-
words as
I
well.
don't know.
Yeah, it's just semantics.
But yeah, that's a pretty big thing.
I think that's huge.
With people going on about how they want to become pro gamers.
Yeah.
They make money off it.
I'm all for it, but it has to be sports, not bloody athletic. That's stupid.
I'm just wondering what the next big evolution tournament, which is the big fighting game tournament that happens every year, like how many people are going to get visas for that? Because like that's like the largest competitive gaming thing I can think of that is done on an amateur basis, if you know what I mean. Because most of them are done with companies. So like with League of Legends, Riot, the people who make League of Legends, will put that together, and there'll be corporate sponsors
Okay.
and all kinds. I watched a lot of Evo this week, and it's put together by people who just love fighting games.
Sweet.
So it is literally just like a load like hundreds upon hundreds of mates getting together to do it, which I was kind of impressed by. I don't know why I dropped that in there, but I just did.
I'm glad that games are getting more recognition for being like proper
Skillful.
things. Yeah, because there is a lot of talent. Yeah, you know for a fact that if you give a pad to someone to play computer games, they ain't got a clue. They won't be able to do a thing. I remember giving my dad a pad about 6-7 years ago, and him just looking at the ground, constantly shooting the ground whilst playing Modern Warfare.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see where it goes, because I think this is going to be the thing where people are going to see we're real. They can start saying that.
Oh, we are real. I mean, as real as anything is.
The second thing I'm going to bring up, I know
The magic of reality.
the second thing I want to bring up is that Don Matrick has left his position as the head of the Xbox division for Microsoft.
Good.
Right.
To embark on, has become the CEO of Zynga.
Do you think, and I don't really mean this nastily, but do you think that he might be thinking, shit, Microsoft or Xbox might be a sinking ship, I'm going to jump before anyone else does?
I would agree with you if he wasn't going to Zynga.
Because Zynga are a bigger sinking ship.
Oh really? Okay, well then
Much
scrap
bigger.
that.
It's like
Let's put it this
being
way.
saved from the Titanic by the Lusitania.
Yes,
Pretty
exactly.
much. Yes.
The thing is,
exactly that.
when I first heard that, I was like, well, that's because he made a mess up of the Xbox One launch.
Yeah.
But it must have been in the works for months beforehand, if not a year.
Yeah.
The thing that I think happened was,
What is Zynga?
Zynga is a creator. It's like a large
Farmville.
games. They create.
That stuff.
They
Yeah.
created Farmville. They bought the company.
Texas Hold'em.
Yeah.
They invented the game Texas Hold'em.
They
That was pretty old.
they bought the companies that made. I don't know if you remember it. Was it called Draw?
Draw something.
Draw something.
I'll draw something.
Now
Yeah.
that game was incredibly successful.
Yeah.
So Zynga paid somewhere in the region of $1 billion for the company,
And it sunk straight after they got it.
and then everyone stopped playing the game, and they've had to release the company.
So it was like
It's
Hulu.
cost Zynga a ton
Why
of
would
money.
he go there?
I suspect
Because he's the
it's the
CEO.
only job he can get.
No, he could have got other jobs, I reckon. But the thing is,
Yeah.
Well-
he's gone up the corporate ladder. He's now the boss of that company. If that company, there's no loss for him. If that company fails, it was already a sinking ship. I'm sorry, there was nothing I can do. If that company turns round, which it's in the middle of doing anyway, well, I'm
Go
the
and do
saviour of
anything else he
Zynga.
wants.
So guess what? Okay, Nintendo needs someone to help run their America division, or Sony needs someone to help.
If
It's a
Nintendo do need that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's our first Nintendo bash of the
I do believe that while this was in the works and it was going to happen anyway, I think it's happened a bit quicker than. I think they would have waited till the Xbox One had been launched, and then because they didn't even have a replacement lined up. They've got one now. I can't remember her name, and I apologise for that. But when it first happened, they were reporting to the head of Windows. They had no head of the Xbox division.
Right.
They were reporting to the head of the Windows division rather than. So like they didn't have a replacement lined up, which says to me like we're not particularly happy with you. We'll let you go early.
Either
Yeah.
that, or he went without talking a lot about it. You
Yeah.
know, goes up because it happens, doesn't it?
I'm
People
off
just move on really
by-
quickly. It sounds like they were completely unprepared.
I was going to say, how do you think these events compare to the events of the film Troll?
I've not seen Troll, but I imagine not well.
Right, what's next?
Yes, let's have another piece of news, please. You can't read it, can you?
Got some help.
The Microsoft in a rather smart move are giving away 12 months of Xbox Live Gold if you buy the latest version of Office, which is called Office 365. It runs a lot like Google Drive and Google Cloud. It basically creates a cloud service and constantly keeps Office and everything updated.
Right.
You get your own cloud space, you get your own support, they help you set stuff up.
Is it constantly connected?
Well, Google Drive is, so yeah.
Okay.
That's why it's called 365.
So if I'm not connected to the internet for 24 hours with Office, does that mean I can't open my Word documents?
Well, you are connected to the whole point. The whole point of a cloud service is you are connected to the internet.
Oh, that'd be kind of suck.
It wouldn't work otherwise.
There's not, yeah.
Yeah, but you can't access your own stuff.
I imagine you could open the programs and work on
You
them.
could probably
but
open them in a different program.
But you couldn't. You couldn't, for instance, put anything into the cloud or take anything off the cloud. The whole point of a cloud. I've been using Google Drive at work. The whole point of it is, as soon as I close the program, it saves and it's already in the cloud for the person opposite the office to go click. Okay, that's what you've done.
Yeah.
You can still do stuff.
I don't think I'd use it personally.
You'd be surprised how efficient it
But
is.
just
in
because
an
if
office
I want
environment.
to access work whilst my internet's down, which happens on occasion, you'd have to save backups all the time, wouldn't you?
But there's still something saved in your computer,
Yeah.
but it's also available to anyone on your network.
All right.
Yeah, it's
Without-
like-
But
I-
isn't that just a LAN connection?
Because
I mean we have a similar thing at work. I mean it's not Google Drive or I can't even remember what it's called. It's a similar concept though, and we find it really useful because if we've got to email documents to each other, that can be one hell of a drain on the email.
So
service.
it'd be good for businesses.
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
for
but
businesses.
that's what they're aiming Office at. It's just a kind of hey, if you want Office anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been many initiatives to try and make Office more appealing, like Office Student Edition. If you're a student, we'll give you $100 off or whatever.
Yeah.
Or I mean, there was something last year where they were giving away a free game or something with Office, because that's what you need if you're buying Office games to distract you from doing work.
I think it's the way that people run businesses now. This is more useful for people. I mean, as another example, and of course I'm going to talk about Apple because I've got my iPad, but I've got the Word equivalent on the iPad, and it saves everything to the cloud. So I've got the same app. We include within the price on my phone as well, and I could get the same one if I had a Mac, and it just all lives on the cloud. So whatever I'm working on, so if I've started one of the reviews on the iPad at home and I think I'll stop that, and when I get up the next morning I'm sat on the bus and I think I could do finishing that review, I can just get it up on my iPhone and it's on the cloud and there it is.
That's pretty cool.
So it's very useful.
Pretty awesome technology. It's just we have to hope there isn't a supermassive solar flare that overcharges the
Yeah, because that's the thing that made me worried about, not the world cooking.
No, all our data's gone. And we'll be dead in a couple of days though.
It's happened twice before and it never destroyed the Earth then.
The thing is...
It did take down all the electric systems though.
Yeah, but there are backups made of these things.
Yeah.
It's
better
be.
They better save before.
To be fair, Goku did it a few times while technology was still there, and it was fine. So
the thing is, how these things work.
Primitive back then.
How these things work is they live on
It happened in the Victorian age when.
Alright, that Joe says peace.
They're actually on the system that you're using as well. You're saving them to the cloud, but they are on. They're saved on the hard copies anyway, so you're not going to lose it all.
Right, that was my main point. That was what I wanted to know.
Yeah,
so
it still exists there.
Now I'm happy. Next piece of news.
As Australia's already been mentioned, it brought to mind something that's just happened. They've finally had their own equivalent of the 18 certificate to movies and games.
Did they not have that?
No.
Oh, is that why games can't get produced over there, like Manhunt?
Yeah. Which is a great thing, I think we can all agree.
Yeah, well done, Australia.
Small round of applause.
Yeah, well done.
Halt! Because there are 2 games that have already been banned.
Really?
Saints Row for 4?
For what?
Is banned because there's alien anal probing in it. And the other game is the Xbox Live Arcade game called State of Decay, which is a zombie survival kind of a little like DayZ but on Xbox 360, and they've been banned.
Okay.
So well done for having your 18 certificate, but fuck you for just deciding you can't decide what you like. We'll do it for you.
Maybe if they want to be like that oppressive, maybe they need to like bring in. Or if they don't trust 18-year-olds with State of Decay and a dubstep gun, then maybe they should bring in a 21 certificate or a 25 certificate. They can't stop grown adults from playing computer games.
Yeah.
They got to trust their own citizens at some point.
We had a nanny state Australia. It's terrible.
Yeah, right.
Next piece of news is that with the next Xbox dashboard update.
That's not a new sheet.
I was going to say, this is the second piece that
I thought about them during the podcast.
Fair enough.
With the next Xbox Live dashboard update, Microsoft points will be replaced by real money.
I just like how you're still reading it off the street.
I know,
off
but
the
it's
sheet,
just
even though
reminding
it's not there.
But this has resulted, or had resulted for people using the beta, in games being more expensive.
Right.
Now Microsoft have started to patch this back in where they've retained the price, but when it first happened, games automatically became more expensive, especially for people in the UK because of exchange rates. So I have no doubt that sooner or later exchange rates are going to start bothering this. So if you wanted anything that's already out there for say, and you have the points, get it, because
I think that's probably fair. Yeah, they did actually come back straight away.
Yeah,
it is the beta. It's not actually the amounts they're meant to cost, and they did pull back on all of that, didn't they?
But I imagine it's going to happen.
Well, the thing is, these games have had.
We've been getting them cheaper anyway.
Yeah, well, When have any of them gone up in price in the last 8 years?
True.
Not one of them has gone up in price, which I think is pretty good going.
So when does this actually come into effect?
August. At some point, I believe I believe it's been stated by State of Decay. You'd like State of Decay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. But I was kind of saving for Walking Dead season 2.
True.
But if they're gonna take money off of me,
well, that's the thing. They've sorted it out for the beta.
right?
I imagine things will stay the same for a while.
They'll
risk
give
it.
you some warning, and they'll tell you what they're going to do, and then
That's what I'm saying.
turn it into money.
They've already given the warning. They've already said this is happening.
Yeah. But they haven't said specifically you'll lose your points. I don't think you will. They'll convert
it to money.
What you've got to hope is that they convert
I hope they
it to a
convert.
similar amount of money to what you paid.
Well, I can work it out to the penny,
Oh, no doubt. The thing is,
and then I will be
They
writing
won't.
them a stern email.
buy those points for different amounts depending on where you go. So
But can you now?
direct from you can buy them from Microsoft,
They
and it's
surely-
got their
No, but I
exchange
mean,
rate.
as soon as it comes back to real money.
They won't abolish them immediately because there's all those cards out there are on sale.
Yeah.
There'll be a transitional period.
That's
You'll probably
what
have a few months where you can use both. What you'll have to watch is what exchange rate they use. So if you went out of your way to get these points cards dirt cheap from whatever shop you could get away with, you might not get quite as good an exchange rate as the Xbox exchange rate, which actually isn't too bad.
It's always been that way though. The more you bought off Xbox, the cheaper it was.
Yeah.
On the other hand, the more you bought off eBay, it was infinitely cheaper because there was always
exactly.
somebody going, "Hey, I've got a half-price code here." But I just thought I'd hand out that.
That's
piece
good
of
to
I
news.
think it's important to know, yeah.
Is
watch
there any
this
more
space.
stories?
And on a final note, the creator of Metal Gear Solid 5, Hideo Kojima, after seeing the recent GTA 5 trailer, has expressed his the fact that he's impressed with.
That's not what I wrote.
I know, but I'm not saying that.
The creator of Metal Gear 5,
Hideo Kojima.
yeah, that guy, has come out saying, I'm extremely depressed because I think my game's going to be shitter than GTA 5.
Pretty much. He didn't say those exact words.
No,
but
he did,
speaks
that's a direct quote.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, that's a direct quote with translation issues.
Yeah.
paraphrasing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Direct
But I
power.
think-
I was just really.
Have you seen the trailer for GTA 5?
Yeah.
Does it look that impressive?
No.
graphically, it looks pretty impressive because of the draw different distance and things.
Online looks impressive. The playing as 3 players, not a huge fan of.
Oh, it's
To be honest. But I was being open-minded about it until I saw the trailer, and then when it came to the whole, right, I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to go into this Driver San Francisco mode, which I really dislike because it just pulls you away from the story so much.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I may change my mind when I play it because I will play it and I will pick it up.
I was
But at the
more. I
moment-
was more impressed by the fact that like when people were driving around, you didn't see like building popping, and that was supposedly running that PlayStation 3.
Yeah, but that's because you have to install an extra disc onto it. You have to install 8
That
gigs,
still
and
doesn't.
that's just the
That
map.
still doesn't stop popping though ever. Well, it never stops popping. It
It's just
installs
if it's 8 gigs and it's just the map that you're installing.
But that,
Yeah.
but that's still
the maps on the hard drive, and then you've got the games.
But you've still got to read it off the hard drive, so you've still got to pop in every now
Quicker
and
to
then.
read off the hard drive than a
Yeah.
disc, though.
Yeah, I'm just saying that it's still impressive.
Oh yeah,
It's the
But-
speed that an electron can travel around a circuit board.
but does anyone
pretty fast.
in their right mind come out and say, "Oh crap, I think this game's going to be better than mine"?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone
Hideo-
could suggest Hideo Kojima has ever
Kojima's
been
not
in
in his right mind,
right
and
mind.
he knows, man. He knows that like saying that has got him headlines.
Yeah, but it's his own fault, really.
It doesn't matter though. He could say this game's going to be terrible. You shouldn't buy it. I'm going to buy it
Because
because
you're a tool sometimes.
you saw the trailers to that thing at E3. We all did.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I might
It's going to
boycott
be.
it.
It's going to. You're not fucking
How
boycotting.
do you know? Don't tell me what I'm doing.
Boycott it, and I won't let you watch me
I'm
play.
going to
it.
go
I
through.
don't wanna.
I'm going to go through your wallet and buy it for you
Alright.
with your own money.
It's alright.
I'm just
I'll get a
saying
refund off you.
that game looks amazing from the trailers we saw at E3.
All right.
Right, GTA 5 looks amazing. By him being humble enough to be like, that was a pretty impressive trailer. It wasn't like my game's
But
gonna be
what did he actually say?
it was like that. I'm depressed because that game looks really good. I think my game will struggle to live up to that, or somewhere to those effects. He was saying,
Presumably
like,
this was loosely translated.
yeah, that's what I'm imagining.
What
But
it really said was, "Holy cow, where's my tentacle monster?"
There's a risk.
There's a risk.
Isn't that a direct line from Metal Gear Solid?
Probably.
I thought it was really interesting that people were like, because like when you see Call of Duty and Battlefield and things like that, they're like, oh yeah, you know, our game's going to blow them out of the water and things. By saying, you know what, that game looks really good. It just makes me think, well done for being honest about things, not to be like, my game's going to be better, my game's going to be better. Well done for not Peter Molyneuxing things, where it's like, I'm going to come up with this crazy kind of story about my game and things that my game are going to do and that can't possibly be lived up to. I mean, you've heard some of Peter Molyneux's crazy...
Yes, is he the producer of Alien?
No. He made the Fable games.
Yeah.
He and Lionhead Studio. But I was impressed with the honesty shown.
Right, well, should we wrap it up?
Yeah, it's time for our final thoughts, I think.
Oh, I forgot about final thoughts.
You always do these days.
Every single time. I think it was my idea.
It was.
Just, every time I forget about it.
Your turn first.
Alright, well, I recommend reading a book called Chaps by Owen Jones. I've only read the first chapter myself, and it's not really about chaps, it's more about class warfare within Britain, making quite a lot of a comeback without people really realising it. And it's very interesting so far, and I do like him. He's a journalist for The Guardian, not for The Guardian, for The Independent. So yeah, just a quick plug of that. I'll probably talk about that in the coming weeks, but yeah, good book so far, get it, if you're into social stuff. Joe?
Me? Okay. My final thought is I talked on the last podcast about how I was reading The Knife of Never Letting Go.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Which I quite enjoyed, as
I
you
saw
all
that
know.
in Waterstones
It's now on
the
my
other day,
Kindle.
actually. All three of them.
Yeah, well, what my final thought is well, it's not really a thought, it's just me telling you. I've just finished the second book, which is called The Ask and the Answer, which we didn't think was a proper sentence. It turns out it is when you know that the ask and the answer are two organisations.
Oh, okay.
It starts making sense as an actual sentence.
Yeah, definitely.
Just finished that book. Fantastic. I'm on my way to be reading the third one as of tomorrow, which is called Monsters of Men. So I still recommend the whole series. It's looking really, really fantastic.
Sweet.
Andrew, any final thoughts?
Don't sit around a table for 2 hours with 5 people with all the windows and doors shut in 30-degree heat.
That sounds excellent. Thank you,
I enjoy that.
Mikey.
I think that if you're taking potassium chloride, as a dietary supplement, keep an eye on your liver, man. Just keep an eye on your liver.
But how does potassium? But how does your final thought compare to anything?
It compares to chemicals, biology.
Okay.
Okay, Bez, you have a go.
But here's my.
What about Star Wars? Does it compare to Star Wars?
Slightly.
Okay.
There is some sort of
Lung stuff.
chemicals and biology.
I suppose Darth Vader had stuff with his lungs. He must have.
Yeah.
Speaking like that. Bad smoker.
He was.
Right.
Paul.
My final thought is more of an announcement. In that Dota 2 has finally come out of beta, and
Later.
and
Beta,
is,
gamma.
and is now available for download for free on Steam. If you want to start playing it, because I know a lot of people were intimidated by the player base and knowing what the heck was going on, now is the time to get in, because it's going to be full of people who this might be their first time playing it.
Noob bashing time, basically.
Well, if you're also a noob, it's not going to be noob bashing time, is it?
It is, because all the people who've been playing the beta are just going to go and thrash the noobs.
It's been noob bashed. No! Stop bashing me.
How would you say that compares to Red Sonja?
I think Arnold Schwarzenegger isn't in Dota 2, which is a mark against it, but Dota 2 is actually good, which is a mark for it.
Yeah.
Okay then.
Right,
Don't respond to him, encourages him.
So, that's it from us. Until next time.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Yeah.